Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Red November is a very funny game. It's very funny. It came from Fantasy Flight. It's a little small Silverline box. I know it has a big box one too, but I knew the Silverline. It's about these drunken gnomes in a submarine, and they're going around, and there's fires going off, and water is sinking in, and there's even a Kraken outside. But they decide to get drunk and run around and fix things. Like it's just ludicrous at some point. It's really funny. But hidden inside this game is a little gem, okay? And it's this idea. It's the first place I ever saw it. It's been copied other places. But it's this idea that we don't take turns going. So each action will require a certain amount of time. And as you spend time, whoever's furthest back in time will get to go. And that person may take 2 or 3 actions to your 1 because you took this humongous action. And that's kind of interesting as you go through. So it's not a finite number of actions. It's a finite number of time. And I've seen this in one of my favorite games, which is Kraken. Other games like Glenmore does this, and some other ones have started to do this a little bit more often. But it's a very neat thing how you're spending this time. You can choose your time however you want. We have the same amount of time. But how you spend your time is different. Now, in this game in particular, you're cooperatively working together. So you might be like, man, I'll go over this big action. I'm not going to have anything to do. But I'm still discussing and talking about actions with you because we're collectively doing this. There's some dice rolling involved. It's just a really weird game. And there's a lot of luck in it. Some things are coming up. The way the cards come up, some dice rolling and stuff. It's a fine game. It's probably a game that time has passed by. I don't know that this game probably had a larger following maybe 8-10 years ago than it does today. I think maybe if Red November was re-released, I think bigger, because the board is really small. This version is very small. Bigger, more grandiose, and streamlined. I think that it could work. I really do. I think it could become a timeless game almost. It could be an evergreen, if you would. But it's an odd game. It's a peculiar game. And it's a strange game. And I like all those things about it. But it's not a game I found myself going back to a lot. If I wanted that mechanism, I was going to Kraken. I was going to Glenmore. I was going other places for that mechanism. Didn't really need it here. This board was just too small. I didn't like the little, hovering around this little tiny board, the Silverline collection. It just didn't appeal to me. I have a big board game table. I like spreading out. I don't mind having that bigness to it, and this game just did not deliver that to me. So for me, it's going to be a purge. But look, if you're new to gaming and you miss out on this game, please go back and check this out. It's very affordable nowadays, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with it, and that's Red November. Here's Red November from Fantasy Flight Games. This is in the Silverline production. You open it up. You're going to get a full box here. You're going to have a rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. You're going to get a board, and this board is fantastic. It's small, but it really comes out and shows you all the little parts that you need. Very good. Then you're going to get a number of these chits, and now these are Fantasy Flight. So thick, very easy to use, very nice. You can see this is full of them. You're going to get some more chits and stuff that you'll be utilizing, and then in here, you're going to get these little gnomes that you'll be utilizing, these little tiny miniatures. This is back when Fantasy Flight put miniatures in everything before CMON did this, right? You have all those. You have a die that's pretty nice. And those components are great. This is Fantasy Flight, so not everything in here is wonderful. You're also going to get a set of cards here. You can see these will be the player cards that you're going to have. And as you go through, these are little small, little Hobbit-sized cards you're going to have. Very, very tiny cards. You can see they have numbers in the bottom and some great artwork on it. So very good job with these. Here's the rule book for Red November. This is a very tight book. So a lot of information here. Picture of the components over here. You're going to have some understanding of the ship and what's going on, and they kind of go through some of the tokens. This will be the game setup, and the turn order will be right here and take you through a player turn. And then it breaks it down further into what you're doing. These actions will be what you're doing a lot. Your action summary here, feint check, and then how you update the board as you go. Very easy. There's some events that are described here in the back, which is very great. Picture of all the items and kind of what they do as a reference point. Then you have some optional rules if you don't want to die as much, because there's player elimination, the game end, and some crazed gnomes and stuff. I don't mind Fantasy Flight books. I think they get a raw deal sometimes. I actually kind of prefer them. I like the way they're written. They really speak to me, and I like this one very much so also. I'm not going to try to explain the rules on how to play. I'm just going to do a quick overview so you understand it. So this is a cooperative game in jest. And what you lose if any of these tracks get to the end, these 3 disaster tracks. If there's a time destruction event on the board and you're not able to stop it in time, you would also lose. Or if all of the gnomes are killed. Remember, this has player elimination in it. So if all of the gnomes are killed and there's nobody else to save the submarine, you would also lose. You will win the game if you get all your timers down and everybody is rescued at the end of the game, and that's the only way to win. So what you're going to have is a timer mechanism here. So if people don't take turns in this game, you're going to have this little ghost marker here. And I'm just going to signify how this will work. So let's say you're here at the beginning of the game and you take 5 time worth of action. Let's say you go down to here. Then at the end of the game, you will move your guy here, right, to show that you used 5 time. Then the ghost marker will come back, and every step that it goes over, an event will occur. You can kind of see the events that will occur here. And let's say purple was here, and orange just took their turn. In a 2-player game, then it would be orange's turn to go again because they're behind. You've seen this in other games like Crofog and etc. So you can utilize your time to go up there with the ghost, etc. So that's how it's going to work. Whoever is behind will take the next turn. You can take as many actions as you want, just spending time as you go through. So that's an important concept in this game. What's going to be happening is you're going to be playing as these gnomes. You're going to be running around the board and you're going to be doing things, right? So you're going to be moving around the board. It's going to take you time to move into a location. So most locations take you time. You have to open up the hatches that go through, etc. And there can be fire or water that will be coming out. So you will be utilizing this time as you go, keeping track of it once again with the ghost marker until the end of your turn. Now, you're going to be fixing these items. So when you're fixing an item, it's going to be with the roll of the die. You can spend as much time as you want, up to 10. Because if you did 10 on a 10-sided die, it's 100% accuracy, right? So when you do a check to see if you fix something, you'll roll the die. And you'll say I wanted to use 4 time. 1, 2, 3, 4. I move the ghost marker up to signify I'm spending 4 time, and I would roll the dice. I rolled below or equal to 4, so I have succeeded. Now, you may have items or whatnot that you might have over here that could help you boost your score on that, but a 1 would be a pass. Now, if I had rolled 5 or higher, I would have failed. Nothing would have happened per se. I just would have wasted that time, I suppose. So a dice roll in order to fix things will be based on how much time you spent. So you're kind of pressing your luck a little bit there and seeing what you can roll out. You're going to be drinking grog as you go, which is the alcohol that you'll be having. And each time that you do that, you go down to 1 and you flip this to 2 until you're kind of passed out. So at the end of each round, as you're getting grog, and that'll help you do actions and do things better, that grog will, you're then going to roll for a feint test at the end of the turn. And then you will just kind of draw a card and look at the feint number that's on it, in this case 4. So if you were 4, then you would pass out. You don't want to pass out because you can be out cold for 10 time on the board, and that's not good for you. So that's kind of how the feint check will be. After you take all your actions, you got to check if you drink any grog, if you fainted or not. And then at the end, based on each of these stars that you go over, you will draw an event cards. Like this one says respite, nothing happened. This one says a random room is flooded to high water. So then what you would do is you would roll the dice, in this case 9, and you would put one of these tokens on 9 to say this room is flooded, and now the gnomes have got to go there to try to clear that out at some point. So these random cards, a fire starts in a random room. That could be something that happens. Once again, you roll the dice, 5, and you put a fire in that location. So the more you go up, the more bad things are going to happen all at one time. And then you continue to do that until you can be rescued at the end. There is a way for the Kraken to come out. You can see him poking his head out over here where you'll battle him. And these tracks will be moving up as things progress. And you'll be getting drunk and moving around and trying to fix this cooperatively so you guys can survive. So that's a quick overview of Red November. There are more rules to it. I'm not trying to show you everything. There are icons you can see here that will be utilized and a whole mess of cards that will be in the game. But that's a quick overview for you. Who should buy this game? Anybody who likes cooperative games. This is unique enough. It's really just going around literally putting out fires. That's all you're doing in this game, putting out fires. Making sure the water is not leaking through, and then getting out of the ship before you run out of air, right? And it's got this humor to it about drinking, and some people will be turned off by that. But these gnomes are just crazy. You can fall down drunk and pass out. It's just a funny little thing that's going on. It's all played for humor, but not like gross humor or crude humor. But it's in there, that humorous aspect of these gnomes being drunk and trying to fix these things. And there's some dice rolling. There's a little bit of luck involved. It's a hard game. I think it's a hard game. But it's a fun game. And I think a lot of people have this. If you've never played Red November, do yourself a favor. Check this out at a con. Check this out somehow. The game's very affordable. This is one you might want to check out if you never played it. For me, it's going to be a purge. I've kind of played it out. It's too small, but there's some personal reasons why. But I think that it's a very strong addition to the cooperative one, and one you don't hear people talk about a lot. That's Red November.